It's amazing after 64 years of being a practicing Roman Catholic and a priest for almost 27 that I can still learn things. I have been asked from a number of people through a variety of means about eating meat on Friday. And I decided, well, let me find out what the rules are. And the more I dug into it, the more fascinating I found it. And also, not only was it fascinating, it was really a beautiful expression of the church's relationship with Jesus Christ and this whole idea of deepening spirituality. Now, we're talking about two things here. We're talking about fasting, which means you don't eat anything, and abstinence, which means you abstain from certain types of foods. And the idea here are what this comes under the idea of days of penance. Now, Good Friday, Ash Wednesday, fasting and abstinence, no exceptions. Okay, abstaining from meat, and then and also one meal a day and some kind of fasting for the rest of the day. Here's the interesting thing. The church's regulations and guidelines come under what is called Canon Law. And there are two canons. There is Canon 1250 and Canon 1251 that talks about the idea of Good Friday and Ash Wednesday. And the other thing that it says is that Catholics are obligated to hold Friday as a day of penance. Now notice, that does not say Friday you have to abstain from meat. I'll get into this in a little bit more detail. Now, where are some exceptions? And this includes Fridays throughout the year, as well as Fridays for Good Friday, when you do not have to abstain. Solemnities of the Lord. For example, if there is a Friday throughout the year, Christmas, New Year's, okay? If that falls on a Friday, fasting, abstinence, don't have to worry about it. Major feast day. This happens very often in Lent, where the Feast of St. Joseph falls on a Friday. So the idea of fasting and abstinence on that day falls away. It's a major celebration. Here's an interesting one. Weddings. Wedding in Lent. Oh my gosh, they're offering me prime rib. Well, if you have the fish option, you can go with the fish option, but the idea of fasting and abstaining in the midst of a celebratory sacrament makes no pastoral sense and no sacramental sense. So basically, the idea of fasting from, if you have to, or the idea of abstaining on a wedding during Lent, you're not required. I'm going to come back to that. Or a local feast day, and this has happened in Lent where St. Patrick's falls on a Friday of Lent, and very often the bishops say you can have your corned beef and cabbage. Now here's the thing, wedding. It's still a penitential day, and there should be this idea of doing something in terms of a penitential discipline. So if you're going to the wedding and they give you a choice and it's on a Friday of Lent, take the fish. Okay. All right. Now let me get back to something else. There's another canon, and it's interesting is these are universal rules for the church, but the adjustments are made by the local bishops. For example, the bishops of the United States. One of the canons, one of the laws that they talk about is Canon number 447, and this idea about fish and meat. I was in a fishmonger the other day. I like fish, and I was looking at the counter and at the selection. There was not a single selection of fish that was cheaper than $21.99 a pound. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting the steak. And so, some things like that, there might be legitimate reasons. There might be medical reasons why you cannot eat fish on Friday. So understand, we're not talking about just meat on Friday. We're talking about the idea that Friday is a day of penance, and there should be some kind of a spiritual penitential discipline that is exercised on that day. So if giving up meat is not an option, what else can you do? Give up something else. Some kind of an extra act of charity, some extra time spent in prayer, some kind of a discipline or a gesture that day that is extra, where you indicate that you are aware that this kind of Fridays echo Good Friday, and you're doing something that kind of calls that into mind, and you're also doing something that causes a sacrifice on your part, sharing in the sacrifice of the cross, and something in that regards that deepens your relationship with Jesus Christ, and someone enhances your enhances your spiritual life.